It's a bird.
So I'm still stuck in TV land. I'm not sure what's going on. It's like I'm in a purgatory. Nothing has changed. What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? Ah, crap. Someone's in my living room. Someone's changing the channel. Whoever you are, please stop changing the channel. Really? You think this is funny? Well, since I'm here, I might as well talk about a few things, huh? Now, the 90s was a very special time, not only for me, but for cartoons and horror together. Now, yes, I have talked about a few cartoons before, but today I want to talk about some things that some people might consider horror, some people might not. And the reason why I'm going to the 90s specifically is because things got weird that decade. Cartoons got strange. And while there were horror-based cartoons being made, there were some shows that were so weird and twisted that they could be considered horror. So let's go to our first one, which is mostly meant to be a horror. Real Monsters. This was a great show. I really loved watching this in the 90s. You had all these weird monsters going to school and learning how to be the best monster they could. There were some really imaginative monsters out there. The main three characters were great. And actually, they made a video game of this for the Super Nintendo and the Genesis that was actually pretty well done. You got to control all the three monsters. Each of them had a special talent, and you had to combine these talents to get through the game, because you could switch between them, and while you switched, you had a lead character. The other characters were on the screen with you. But the monsters in this were just a lot of fun to watch. It was kind of colorful, but kind of dark at the same time. It's a good show, and I think if you have a little one and you want to get them into the spirit of Halloween, this might be a good show to do it. Where am I now? Oh, okay. So this one actually got a little bit dark. And that's Gargoyles. Again, they made a Super Nintendo and Genesis game. That was actually really well done. I highly recommend to check it out if you want some scary video games to play. Going back to the old days when games were hard and difficult. And for me, generally more fun to play. But let's talk about the show. So, we've all seen gargoyles or grotesques. They're on the buildings, lurching over. They look kind of creepy. And that's what the show is about, that these things were living creatures, and they'd come out at night, and undue to popular belief that them being evil, they were actually there to help us. But there were evil ones as well, and it's about their society and how they lived and what they did. It's a really interesting show, and it makes you never look at a gargoyle on a building quite the same. You keep on expecting it to change. Just to quickly go on to another show about this, and I should have mentioned this in my Monsters show, but it kind of reminds me of, well, I should say, Doctor Who reminded me of this show with the Angels. And those are some creepy monsters. Blink and they get you and then send you to this non-existence. Really creepy. But yeah, Gargoyles, again, is one of those things like Real Monsters. It's a bit more scary, it's a bit more darker, there's a bit more violence in it. But I still think a lot of kids could watch this and be okay with it. Okay, so I did talk about some weird shows and the strangeness in this. And one of those has to be Rocco's Modern Life. That's right. It's all about Rocco and his animal friends and what they do. Well, the show is not scary. There's some really weird things going on. Not to mention the cartoon devil makes an appearance in it as well. It's just kind of creepy, the antics that Rocco, Heifer, and Spunky, yeah, the dog is called Spunky, all get up to is creepy in that you kind of wonder if there was something mentally wrong with the creators of the show. But it's still a lot of fun. There's a lot of weirdness to watch and enjoy. I think it's one of those shows that adults and kids could probably watch together and they'd enjoy it on different levels. Okay, so I'm going to go away from cartoons just for this little bit here. I want to talk about 3 shows that I kind of watched at the same time. I've kind of talked about these before, so I'm just throwing these in. You have Goosebumps, R.L. Stein's Goosebumps. You have Are You Afraid of the Dark? Two great shows, very comparable to one another. You know, they're both kind of, each episode is different. They're both kind of scary, but not too scary that young teens wouldn't want to go to sleep. But scary enough that they might, hide behind a blanket or something. And there are a few episodes that are actually kind of terrifying. Mostly it's like the clown episodes, or a person actually dressed up as a scary thing more than the monster episodes. But again, it's a good family scare fun that the whole family could sit down and watch together. And I think the adults and the kids will enjoy it on different levels. Now, I just said there's a third show, and I set this one separately because it is a little bit different, and that's Erie, Indiana. I have talked about this show before, and I gave it praise, and I still do. Erie, Indiana, unlike the Goosebumps or Are You Afraid of the Dark, is a little different in the fact that it's actually got a complete storyline. Now, every episode does have, like, their own story and their own monsters, their own creepy things, but there's also a major storyline going behind the scenes, so it's a little bit different that way. Out of all three, because when I was going to school, you was either a Goosebumps fan or Are You Afraid of the Dark fan. It was like the whole Sega Nintendo wars going on, but for teen horror. Well, I did enjoy those other three. I was of the third opinion that neither of them were better than Erie, Indiana. And Erie, Indiana was one of those shows that none of my friends really watched, so I couldn't really talk about it with them. But it's great. It's got some really creepy episodes, especially like the one with the dogs where they eat the fat boy. I mean, they don't show him being eaten, but when the dog cuffs up an artifact of the boys, those dogs ate this fat boy, this like 10-year-old alive. That's a kind of a messed up thing to do. But it's definitely worth a watch. Again, it's fun for the whole family, and I highly recommend it. Okay, so on to the last one here. I know there's many, many more that I'm probably missing. Something like The Real Ghostbusters, the Beetlejuice. There's a whole lot of horror going on. But for me, one of the creepiest ones in the 90s had to be Ren and Stimpy. Now, if you know Ren and Stimpy, you might be thinking, how is that horror? But I wanted you to take a moment and really think about what Ren and Stimpy was. It was a weird-ass, creepy-ass show. It really was. And it wasn't just like the visuals that were really grotesque and made you just want to look away. But for me, it was also a lot of the sound effects, like when Stimpy would go in the cat litter and a sound. They really nailed the sound effects, the sound recordings, so well that it did make you shudder when you heard it. Like I said, it's the animations, it's just the weird stories that happened with it. It is a completely creepy show. Again, also a video game, but these ones weren't that good. But if you're looking for something really gross, it's just something that's going to make you say, what the hell am I watching? And perhaps it's a little bit scary, like the Space Madness episode. I highly recommend this one. Is this a family show? Well, here's the thing, and this is the weird thing about the 90s, is yes and no. Because this show is really, really just out there and really grotesque that I think some younger kids could actually be scared, completely scared witless, out of seeing some of the drawings, like when you saw the pus-filled boils explode or something like that. But at the same time, it's not really bloody, it's not really gory, there's no bad language in it. So it could also be considered a kid's show. If I was you, I wouldn't let the little ones watch it, but maybe 9 and older would be fine. And speaking of that, now it's a special time. Oh God, I know what time it is.
No! 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 Happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy, joy. Happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy, joy. Happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy, joy.